Elite-level football clubs tend to be owned by old people, and primarily old white men, if you want to be even more specific, and that should come as little surprise, given the way in which wealth is distributed around the world, along with the fact that you need to have a fair old amount of wealth in order to acquire an elite-level football club. There are some exceptions, particularly to the white part these days, following an influx of Middle Eastern and Chinese money into football over the last 15 years, though there remains virtually no female majority ownership within the upper echelons of the game, unless you redefine Norwich City or Port Vale as being elite-level football clubs. The focus of this video, however, is on the age aspect. Whether it be Arsenal, AC Milan, or Liverpool, some of the biggest clubs in world football are owned by men who are old enough to be in receipt of a state pension in the United Kingdom. Not that any of them would need one. In football, someone like 47-year-old Andre Radrizzani at Leeds United and Ronaldo at Real Valladolid are considered to be young owners, but I wanted to go a step further than that and find the very youngest owners in all of world football. I am only interested in the majority shareholders of professional football clubs, so there will be no inclusion of George Dowell at Worthing, Vincenzo Bernardo at Morris Elite Soccer Club, or the Sevens students who jointly acquired non-league Walton and HERSHAM back in 2019, all of which are no doubt interesting stories, but I wanted to hone in only on the owners of professional clubs. Without further ado then, here are the 7 youngest owners in all of world football. 7th, Ilan Shor. Getting us started as the oldest owner in this 7, at the grand old age of 34, is Ilan Shor. A pretty notorious figure within Moldovan football, and Moldovan society more broadly, Shor is actually a man whose ownership of Moldovan outfit Milsami Orhei I made a 20-minute documentary about not all that long ago. I would recommend giving that video a watch if you're interested and haven't already seen it, because the entire story is pretty remarkable in all of its details, but I will try to give you a condensed version here. Shor was born in Tel Aviv, Israel, to a wealthy businessman, and his family relocated to Moldova whilst he was still a child. At the age of 18, Shor's father died and he inherited his business empire, which is named Shor Holdings. Shor Holdings is a vast business with interests spanning the retail, duty-free, electronics, media, and advertising sectors among others. But at the age of 23, young Ilan decided to add football to their portfolio, acquiring Kyril Orhei, a football club that was even younger than him, having only been founded in 2005. Shor changed the club's name to Milsami Orhei, invested plenty of money, and they became Moldovan champions in 2015. In doing so, Orhei became the first city outside of the Moldovan capital of Chisinau and the Transnistrian capital of Tiraspol to win a Moldovan top-flight league title. Shor is best known in Moldova, however, not for anything to do with football, but for being suspected of defrauding Moldova's 3 largest banks of more than $750 million. The scandal, which took place in 2014, bankrupted the 3 banks, and after the government sanctioned an $870 million bailout and emergency loan package, it almost bankrupted the entire nation. Shor is an unsurprisingly divisive figure in Moldova then, also the leader of a self-styled populist political party, so you can see why I needed more than 20 minutes to tell his full tale. 6th, Hector Gutierrez. I should state, at this point, the Getty images are rather lacking when it comes to images of a few of the young owners in this 7. As always, I will try to provide you with some visual stimulation regardless, but feel free to treat at least certain segments more like a podcast, or, just switch off entirely if you only tuned in the hope of seeing the great Hector Gutierrez. Gutierrez is a 34-year-old man who was born in the Venezuelan city of Barquisimeto. That is, a solid 6 or 7 hour drive away from the home of Deportivo JBL del Zulia, the football club that he owns, along with his business partners, Gianfranco Guazzoli and Carlos Rano, which, as the team's name suggests, is based in the city of Zulia on the Venezuelan border with Colombia. Like much of Venezuela, Zulia is rather synonymous with baseball, and the city was once home to 4-time championship-winning team Guitierrez del Zulia. Whilst Zulia's football teams are a little less celebrated, the state capital of Maracaibo is still home to a pretty impressive football venue. The 40,000 plus capacity Estadio Jose Pichencho Romero, which was renovated in 2007 when Venezuela hosted the Copa America. 3 football teams play their home games at the Estadio Jose Pichencho Romero, including Gutierrez's JBL, who were founded in only 2013 and compete in the second tier of Venezuelan football. Gutierrez is a football agent, and whilst he hasn't bankrupted an entire nation like Ilan Shor is accused of having done, he is also a pretty controversial figure. His agency, Rotsa Master Agency, has been accused of failing to pay its clients, with FIFPro, the organisation that represents footballers worldwide, labelling him as a fake agent and advising that players don't do any business with the agency. That doesn't seem to bode particularly well for JBL, who are currently second bottom of the Occidental Department of Venezuela's Segunda Division. 5th, KHALID bin Hamad Al Khalifa. If you were hoping to be done with shady characters following our first 2 inclusions, well, I can only apologise for the man up next. Look, it's hard getting by as a young person, and if you want to become a multi-millionaire or billionaire and buy a football club before you're 30, you might have to break a few eggs to get there. In fairness, it is not equally difficult for everyone, and it has actually been very easy for KHALID bin Hamad Al Khalifa, better known as Sheikh Khalid, who is a member of the ruling Bahraini royal family. The 5th son of King Hamad, who is Bahrain's monarch and dictator-in-chief, Khalid is 18th in line to the throne. That means that Khalid will never be the king of the tiny human rights abusing state, which is propped up by the UK and US governments, barring a freak disaster. But he does still have a royal title, a military role, and 2 wives. Sheikh Khalid graduated from the Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst in the United Kingdom, before becoming a lieutenant colonel in the Bahraini Royal Guard. He has also fought in 2 professional boxing bouts, the last of which came in 2017, when he also married both of his current wives, so that must have been a blockbuster year for him. Sheikh Khalid, who is of no relation to DJ Khalid, I should point out in case there is any confusion, is also the president of the Bahrain Royal Equestrian and Endurance Federation and the first deputy chairman of the Supreme Council for Youth and Sports. Hopefully that doesn't present any conflicts of interest, since Khalid also owns Al Khaldia Sports Club, a professional football team from Hamad town in northern Bahrain. Founded in 2020, Al Khaldia won promotion from the Bahraini 2nd Division at the first attempt last season and already found themselves 3rd in the Bahraini Premier League table this season. Al Khaldia have been noted for their ambition in Bahrain, having brought in Croatian AFC Champions League winning head coach Dragan Talajic, in addition to bringing in players from Belgium, France, and Cameroon. That should perhaps come as a little surprise, given their royal patronage, and Sheikh Khalid's Reuben net worth of $800 million. Al Khaldia also managed to bring Alexander Haleb out of retirement last summer, though the move is widely considered to have been a publicity stunt, with the 40-year-old Belarus legend never having played for the club. 4th, LAURENCE GIRARD. A man who only turned 30 years old last month, LAURENCE GIRARD is the youngest owner of a professional football or soccer team in the United States. Before making this video, I knew only of New Amsterdam as being one of about 50 television series set in US hospitals that my girlfriend watches religiously whilst I stay up late writing documentaries about corruption in Uzbekistan. But it turns out that it is also a brand new football club based in New York. Like Al Khaldia, New Amsterdam FC were founded in 2020, joining the National Independent Soccer Association, which itself only played its first football as a league in 2019. The National Independent Soccer League functions essentially as a 3rd tier within the American soccer pyramid, and New Amsterdam finished 4th in the most recent fall of 2021 campaign. New Amsterdam described themselves as the club of the people, offering the cheapest professional sports season ticket in New York at $150, and Girard says on his own LinkedIn page that he hopes the club will, quote, have a social impact through soccer through a combination of a professional sports team and youth programs, end quote. Girard himself is the CEO of Fruit Street, which is a virtual diabetes prevention and weight loss program. Fruit Street claims to have received over $25 million in funding from approximately 500 physicians, but is still accepting investment of between $25,000 to $100,000 from physicians and non-physicians alike. New Amsterdam FC are also open to investment, as per their website, and they also quote that $25,000 to $100,000 investment as being typical, which is a bit of an odd coincidence, but hey ho, this is a quick video, not one of my documentaries, so we'll just let that slide for now. Third, Putra Sirigar and Atta Halilantar. The youngest club in this seven and the joint third youngest owners, together Putra Sirigar and Atta Halilantar founded AHHA PS Patti FC in June 2021, so less than a year ago. I'm not 100% sure if it is supposed to be pronounced AHHA PS Patti FC or AHA PS Patti FC, inspired by Alan Partridge's famous catchphrase, but I hope it is AHA, and it is AHA that I'm going with. AHA PS Patti are sort of a new club and sort of not, since Sirigar and Halilantar bought PSG Patti FC, who were founded in 2014, in the year 2020, and renamed them AHA PS Patti, which apparently saw them registered as a new legal entity. I must admit, I had never heard of either Putra Sirigar or Atta Halilantar prior to making this video, but they are clearly very well known in Indonesia. Putra has over 5 million followers on Instagram and more than 2 million subscribers on YouTube, which puts me to shame. No wonder I can't afford a football club. Well, that and the fact that my boss takes most of the channel's revenue, but none of that for now. Meanwhile, Atta has a quite incredible 22 million followers on Instagram and more than 29 million subscribers on YouTube. Atta was the first Southeast Asian YouTuber to receive the Diamond Play Button Award, and he ranks just outside of the 100 most popular YouTubers in the entire world. I bet he has never made an entire 11-minute video debunking myths about the offside law, though. The fraud. Between them, it would be reasonable to assume that Putra and Atta have made a few bob, and they have spent some of that cash buying AHA PS Patti FC, who are based in the city of Patti within the wider Patti Regency. Putra is 28 years old, whilst Atta is 27, making them the first 20-something owners in this seven. Second, ADRIAN Mititelu Jr. ADRIAN Mititelu Jr. isn't quite as popular on social media as our friends from Indonesia, but the young Romanian playboy does still have 26,000 followers on Instagram. Those fortunate enough to follow Mititelu will be able to stay up to date with his flashy lifestyle at all times. Someone who appears to be a fan of the finer things in life, Mititelu has a story on his profile entitled Cars, showing photographs and videos of Mercedes, BMWs, Lamborghinis and Bentleys, along with several stories sharing his travels to the likes of Mykonos, Dubai and the United States. Adrian's Instagram bio reads, owner of Romanian football club, FC Craiova official, I belong to Jesus. Which technically means that Jesus owns FC Craiova and Adrian is just one of God's many subsidiary companies. Officially though, Mititelu does own the club, and he is one of only 2 people in the entire world to own professional football clubs who are younger than me. Mititelu Jr. was born in August 1997, meaning that he is currently just 25 years old. Mititelu's father, Adrian Mititelu Sr., is a Romanian media mogul and the owner of Romanian newspaper Special Edition, and he has an estimated net worth of 20 million euros. Adrian Sr. was convicted of tax evasion in 2021 and given a prison sentence, which I suspect is why he transferred the club over to his son. FC Craiova 1948 won promotion from the second tier of Romanian football last season, with a squad containing former Oldham Athletic left-back Bradley Diallo, and they sit third from bottom in the Liga 1 at the time of this recording. Interestingly, Mititelu Jr. previously played for Craiova in 2013, where he made just a solitary 2-minute long substitute appearance at the age of only 16, which I suspect was absolutely based on merit and ability and had nothing whatsoever to do with his dad owning the club. First, Kyril Louis-Dreyfus. We both start and end this 7 with owners who I've talked about on this channel in the past, in depth with regards to Ilan Shor and my Moldova documentary, and only very briefly with regard to Kyril Louis-Dreyfus in my documentary about Marseille. That is because Louis-Dreyfus, as his name suggests, is a member of the aristocratic Louis-Dreyfus dynasty. Leopold Louis-Dreyfus, Kyril's great-great-grandfather, was the patriarch of the family, founding the Louis-Dreyfus Company, which has annual revenue in excess of $36 billion today. Kyril's father, Robert Louis-Dreyfus, went on to become the CEO of both Adidas and Saatchi & Saatchi, in addition to buying Olympique de Marseille. On Robert's watch, Marseille became a superpower once again, becoming the first, and still the only French team, to be crowned as European champions. Though, they also became embroiled in a match-fixing scandal at the same time, and were relegated from Ligue 1 as a punishment. That wasn't the only scandal tied to Robert, also accused of having bribed FIFA into awarding Germany with 2006 World Cup hosting rights prior to his death in 2009, aged 63. Upon his death, Robert's wife Margarita inherited 60% of his fortune, later rising to 65%, making her the richest Russian woman alive. She also inherited Olympique de Marseille, which she sold in 2016, whilst her and Robert's son Kyril retained a 5% stake in the French Giants. Not content with that, in 2021, Kyril paid a reported £22 million to buy Sunderland Football Club from Stuart Donald, aged only 23. Kyril is said to have a trust fund worth £2 billion, which is enough money to sign Jack Rodwell for £10 million, just as Sunderland did in 2014, a whopping 200 times. Sunderland fans will hope that Kyril can put his money to slightly better use than that at the Stadium of Light and make full use of the sports and business management degree that he started studying at Leeds Beckett University before transferring to Richmond International Academic and Soccer Academy and eventually dropping out. But right now things aren't going great, with Sunderland having slipped to 4th in the League One table, recently relieving manager Lee Johnson of his duties at the time of this recording, and just having replaced him with Alex Neil. So that is it for today's video, but thank you all from the bottom of my heart as ever for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it. If that was the case, why not hit the like button? Or, leave a comment if you have anything of interest or indeed not of interest to say. And make sure that you are subscribed and have notifications turned on for HITC Sevens. You can also find me on Twitter or on Instagram via the username @HITC Sevens on both, should you feel like that's something that you want to do.